and welcome to another knitting podcast episode. My name is Luisa, but everybody calls me Lu. And hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Over here, I didn't manage to clock in as much knitting time as I wanted to. Well, no, that's a lie. I had a fair amount of knitting time over the course of last week, but I don't know where the progress went because I only managed to finish one project. I was expecting to finish all my free whips for this week's episode of the podcast, so of course it didn't happen, and I only finished one, so I still have two sweaters on my needles. I also want to share with you my plans, my next cast on plans. I can't decide what I want to cast on next, so I need your help. And I also have a little bit of an acquisition to show you in the end. So let's jump right in with my one and only finished object, which is my Side Bow Slipover by Sarah Antipenkov. The yarn I chose for this project was a reclaimed yarn from a project I frogged a long time ago. This is Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in the colorway 3511. This is 100% merino wool, DK weight. I'm almost certain this colorway is discontinued. And you can see I still have a little bit left over, but well, we'll talk about that later. And now let's check out my finished object because I'm so excited to see if I will in fact wear a vest now that I have one in my wardrobe. So last time I showed you guys this project, I was done with the body, but I still had to add the ties to both sides of this vest, and I did, but I decided to not do the bow just because I wanted something not as bulky as a bow here on the sides of the body. So I decided to do this knot. I came up with this. I like it. It looks nice. It is definitely not as bulky as a bow, and we'll see if I will regret that decision or not. Oh, and let me show you the back. But last time I showed you guys this project, like I said, I was done with the body, but I wasn't that sure the length of the body because I just didn't follow the pattern. I mean, why follow the pattern when I can just come up with my own numbers to later come back and fix my past self mistakes, right? So that's exactly what I did. I added 6 centimeters to the length of this vest, but I wasn't that sure I could just rip back this 1x1 ribbing and knit it one more time and get a result that was as neat as the one I have here, especially considering this is reclaimed yarn. I just decided to do some surgery, so I added 2 needles here right before starting the 1x1 ribbing, cut my yarn to add length to the body of the vest, and then I grafted both ends together. But I don't know if you noticed, there's a little bit of a ribbing here element to add a little something to this design, and it is really cute. There's this ribbing going all the way around both sides of the body, but it is fairly unnoticeable, I would say. When I was blocking this project, I did try to stretch this area out a little bit just to make the ribbing more pronounced, but it didn't really work. You can kind of see a little bit of, well, something going on here, but here on the body is fairly unnoticeable. But having ribbing here meant that grafting both ends together took me 4 hours. Why? It took me 3 hours just to graft these 6 stitches here together. I was doing something wrong, and once I was done with the ribbing, my stitches didn't look that great. It wasn't a matter of tension, it was just I was picking up the wrong leg of the stitches. I couldn't figure out the right way to do it. It was a whole mess, so it took me 3 hours just for this section, and another 40 minutes, 1 hour or so to go all the way around to the other ribbing. But it worked, and I'm so glad I took the time to add length to this body because I just know I wasn't going to wear this if I had a cropped length vest. I know it was just going to be collecting dust in my closet. So now I think I have a fair chance of wearing this now that it's spring. But like I said, I added 6 centimeters to the body, so now the length of this vest is 4 centimeters longer than my usual go-to length for my sweaters, and I think it's going to fit pretty good. Now, talking about the bow, like I said, I decided to do this knot here. I don't know if this thing has a name, but it looked cute. So yeah, I decided to keep it, but I wanted the ties to end where the body hit me. So one side of this tie is longer than the other. I don't know if I can tie it right now. Which one is the longer one? This one. So I think it took me like 20 minutes to figure out this knot, but maybe I can do it now. No, I don't think I can. Anyway, like I was saying, let me show you this other side here. So now both ends, maybe if I show like this. Yeah, right now it looks a little bit longer because I don't think I have it right on the mannequin, but this is it. The reason why I wanted the ties to have the same length as the body was to hide basically this gap between the front and back panels. I didn't know if I was going to pick on that when wearing this vest, so to be safe, I decided to hide, let's say, this gap between both panels with the ties of this knot. Other than that, I also did the collar, and now I don't think it's really showing, but this collar, or at least mine, has kind of a oval shape to it. I'm not 100% a fan of this oval shape, I'll be honest. I like it, but I wouldn't have chosen an oval shape for the collar. Now that I have a good length for the body, I don't think it is as noticeable. I did check Ravelry to see if this oval shape was also present in other people's projects, and it was, so I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe I did, I don't know. But anyway, I still like it. I think I'm going to wear this a lot. I am pretty happy with it, and the sun's coming out now, so I think the light is a little bit different. But anyway, moving on. I think I'm going to wear this a lot, like I said. So since this is a finished object, let's talk about how much yarn I've used and the cost of my project. I have my notebook here with me, so let me check how much yarn I've used. So I've knitted single-stranded using just this Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, and I'm so happy I had this yarn in my stash. I think it was the perfect yarn for this project. I'm pretty happy with the final result and the way the fabric looks, and I think it's going to provide like the right amount of warmth for this vest during spring. But talking about yarn amounts, I've used 401 grams of this DK weight yarn. This equals to 866 meters. The pattern calls for 950 meters of worsted weight yarn. So I've used a little bit less, but the pattern also calls for a bow here on either side of the body, and that requires way more length for the ties. So I think that's why I've used less yarn than the pattern calls for. Now, talking about the cost, I didn't really pay for this yarn. Like I said, it was reclaimed yarn from a frog project, but past me did buy this yarn. So talking about just the amount of yarn that went into this project, I would have paid 70 euros for the yarn, and I did pay for the pattern, which cost me 10 euros and 19 cents. So in total, this project cost me 80 euros and 19 cents, and I am pretty happy with the price point of this project, if I in fact wear it, but that remains to be seen. I will update you on that in the future, but for now, enough about this vest, and let's talk about my lime green sweater, because I am so excited to show you the color. So let's switch it up. So this is my Stockholm Sweater V-neck by PetiteKnit. It looks terrible on the mannequin. I don't know what's going on here. There's this weird thing happening. But when it's laying flat, it looks good. I promise you that. The yarn I'm using for this project is a Filcolana combo of their sock base, which is called Arwetta, and their mohair base, which is Filcolana Tilia. My Arwetta colorway is number 379 Sprout. Yeah, 379 Sprout. And I chose the colorway 326 Meadow for my mohair. So this is my yarn combo for my Stockholm Sweater V-neck. I am absolutely in love with this color. This is so out of my comfort zone, but I couldn't be happier with past me for choosing this yarn combo. Now, last time I showed you guys this project, I was done with the body, but I still had both sleeves and the collar left, and I did manage to knit the entire collar. This was my first time doing a ribbed V-neck collar, and I'm really happy with the result. I was expecting to, let me just put the yarn here. I was expecting to show you guys this project as a finished object today, but of course it didn't happen, like I said. So I'm still working on the first sleeve. Let's talk about the sleeves first. Yes, the sleeve you are seeing here is my 6th try. I frogged this sleeve 5 times just to get the fit right, because the pattern calls for a really fitted, almost snug-like fit for the sleeves, and it wasn't a look I wanted for this project. So I'm still trying to come up with a roomier sleeve, let's say, and it seems fairly easy to change the fit of the sleeves, considering this is just stockinette knitting around, but somehow I am making this really complicated. I can't figure out a decrease rate to get the fit I want. This is, like I said, my 6th try. I'm still not 100% sold on the fit, so there's a chance that I will frog this sleeve one more time, but so far this is what I have. The pattern calls for 20 plus decrease rows here, and I don't want to do that. I don't know if you can see my markers here to help me see my decreases, but I think I'm going to end this sleeve with around 10 to 15, maybe 13 decrease rounds. I don't know. I will report back once I am satisfied with the fit of this sleeve. But one thing that is really good about this entire process is I had forgotten how relaxing a stockinette sleeve is. So I didn't really mind frogging this sleeve so many times, but it did take up a lot of time, so I guess that's why I couldn't finish this project on time. But I was definitely humbled by this sleeve. I was so confident I would be able to just figure out a new decrease rate and whip up this sleeve in no time, but well, it didn't happen. I have this other project also by PetiteKnit. This is the Leon sweater that I knit last year. This is what I consider the perfect fit for my sweaters. I love the length, the body length, sleeve length, the fit of the sleeves, how much ease I have on the body, the neckline, everything is perfect. So I always use this as a guide, let's say, when I'm trying to figure out the fit for the sleeve I am working on, especially if it's a sweater. So I am using this as a guideline for my Stockholm Sweater V-neck, and somehow it is not working, because if I lay everything flat and just put this lime green sweater on top of my Leon sweater, both projects have the same width, let's say, for the sleeves, the same length kind of, but when I try it on, my lime green sleeve looks a little bit snug, or maybe not that snug, but it certainly doesn't look as relaxed as my Leon sweater looks on me. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's the yarn. I think this Filcolana combo is so soft and squishy that it kind of bends to the shape of my upper arm, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out, but so far this is what I have. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is going to be the final fit for the sleeve or if I'm going to try another decrease rate one more time. We'll see. But one thing that I forgot to mention last podcast episode is regarding this split hem. The pattern calls for a regular 1x1 rib, but I decided to do a split hem. The only thing I forgot to mention was I didn't size down my needles for the ribbing because I was trying to avoid a really wide gap here between both ribs, and so I just decided to stick to the same needle size I used to knit the body. So this is what I have here. Let me just untangle myself from the yarn here and let's talk about the color because, well, it looks so good. This color is knit in the round and it looks so much neater than my hem, which was worked flat because of the split. So I am so much happier with this sweater now. Should I just get this off the mannequin so I can show you the ribbing up close? Yeah, it's always nice to see everything up close. It still needs a good blocking so the fabric will relax around the collar. But so far, this is it. I love how neat it looks, especially this vertical line of decreases here. I was a little bit worried about that because, like I said, this was my first time doing a V-neck, ribbed V-neck that is, and the pattern does call for a few rounds of double knitting right at the edge here of the collar. And I followed the pattern, but I kind of wish I hadn't because it isn't really that noticeable, and I don't really like the way it feels when I squish the edge of the color. I don't know if I'm just being picky. I probably am, but well, this has crossed my mind. I really don't know why this looks so bad on the mannequin, but moving on. I was expecting the color to be a little bit wider here on the sides next to my neck. Right here, I was expecting to have a little bit of extra room around my neck like this, but it sits really close to my neck here on the top. I still like it. It is really comfortable and it's just a different fit than what I had in mind, but I'm still really happy with it. And the depth of this V-neck here is spot on. It isn't too short. I don't like when a V-neck is too short because in my head it looks like a crew neck that is kind of relaxed and out of shape, and it's now bent to a really shallow V-neck. And I also don't like when it's too deep because, well, it's too much cleavage for my liking. So this one is spot on, just how I like my V-necks to hit. And this is it. This is my Stockholm sweater. I will 100% finish this week because I'm so excited to cast on something new, especially now that I finished my sleepover. I kind of want to cast on another vest, but I want to make sure that I'll reach for a vest now that I have one in my wardrobe, so I won't cast on another one before I am sure I in fact wear vests. So for now, one vest it is, and I want to finish this lime green sweater. I am so excited to wear this. So now let's talk about my other project, my colorwork sweater, the one I sticked last week or 2 weeks ago, and see if everything is going according to plan or if I ruined everything by deciding to stick that sweater. So let's change it up. So this is my porcelain sweater by Knit. The yarns I'm using for this project, let me get it. I am doing another Filcolana combo for the main color. I am using also Filcolana Arwetta paired with Tilia, but my Arwetta colorway is number 245. I can never remember the colorway name. Deep burgundy, dark burgundy, something like that. And my Tilia colorway is number 382. So this is my combo for the main color, and for the contrasting color I am using leftover yarn. I am doing a knitting for olive combo of merino and their soft silk mohair base. My merino colorway is called Wild Berries, and the mohair is called Plum Rose. So this is my color combo for the porcelain sweater, and I am pretty happy with the contrast I have between colors. Last time I showed you guys this project, I was done with the third band of color work here on the body, so I went ahead and finished the body and picked up stitches and knit the entire collar. Like I said, I was also expecting to have this project finished for you guys today, but I didn't even manage to pick up stitches for the first sleeve, so I still have to do that. I know it is minimal progress on this sweater, but well, that's life sometimes. I did spend a fair amount of time working on this project, but it doesn't really show. I need 2 centimeters of StockKnit here before starting the ribbing, and I decided to go with a 1x1 twisted rib just to have a really neat ribbing. I felt like it was going to match the look of this body, of this sweater. I saw a few project pages on Ravelry. People chose a twisted rib and I really liked the look of their project, so I decided to do the same thing. And I also got the idea to do a contrasting bind off. So for the final 2 rounds here on the hem, I switched colors and used this contrasting color for the bind off as well. I don't think it is that noticeable when I'm wearing this, when I'm trying this on, but I think once this project is completely done and I do the same thing on the cups, it will be a little bit more noticeable, but so far this is what I have, so I will have to wait and see. Now for the collar, I picked up stitches around the sticks. Can you see the sticks here? Yeah, I won't lie, it wasn't an enjoyable experience. I was so stressed when picking up stitches here on the sticks. I felt like I was going to ruin everything and my stitches would start unraveling. Everything, it was stressful. I didn't really enjoy it. And now when I look back, I kind of think that I would feel maybe safer, let's say, had I chosen the felted method for the sticks instead of just the crochet reinforcement before in fact cutting the stitches. So if I decide to stick another sweater in the future, maybe I will choose the felting method instead of this reinforcement, crochet hook reinforcement. I don't know, but it's something that I was thinking a lot when I was picking up stitches here around the neckline, and I did the same thing, twisted rib, 1x1 twisted rib. I just followed the same instructions as PetiteKnit suggested for the Stockholm sweater, the lime green sweater, so I did the same thing. The porcelain sweater, this one, calls for a folded collar, if I'm not mistaken, but I just decided to do a single layer just to do something different because I'm always doing folded over colors. So this way I try something not really new, but something different for a change. So this decrease line here looks the exact same as my Stockholm sweater. Let me show you up close if I can manage to take it off the mannequin. But yeah, the only thing I changed was the twisted rib, and I finished it off with an Italian bind off adapted for twisted rib. It still needs a good blocking to relax the fabric and everything, but I'm not seeing any, how can I explain this? I'm not seeing any disruption on the colorwork bands. So I think it was a good decision to finish the V-neck here in the middle of this stockinette section. I think my colorwork bands are fairly straight. We'll see. Once this blocks, I think it will look a little bit better, but now that I have this on my hand, let me show you the hem and the contrast bind off. I think this is going to relax a lot once I block this, because right now it cinches up quite a bit to the point that the fit is a little bit weird, but well, we'll see. Let me show you the bind off. I don't know how to show you this. I think maybe if I do it like this, so you can see it. Yeah, I think now you can see the contrasting bind off. It looks good, but once this stretches on me, it becomes way more discreet, let's say, the bind off. So I don't know if it was worth the trouble or not, but let me put it back on the mannequin. Now I still have to pick up stitches for both sleeves, of course, and that's my next step on this project. I hope I will pick up stitches for the first sleeve today, but who knows. I'm still really stressed just thinking about picking up stitches here on the sticks. I always think I'm going to mess it up, like I said. Yeah, I'm not really enjoying this section of the project, but it was my decision to stick, so I have to stick to that decision. So we'll see if I will regret that in the future. Who knows? Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention, since I decided to do a V-neck, my pickup rate for the collar was every stitch here on the back of the sweater. You can't really see it, but here I picked up every single stitch, and on the front I picked up 3 every 4 stitches. So I picked 3, skipped 1, picked 3, skipped 1, all the way around both front panels. So this is what I have here. It is the same depth as my Stockholm Sweater V-neck, but I think the fit here next to the neck is a little bit more relaxed. I think this can change quite drastically once it is blocked, but we'll see. So far I am pretty happy with the fit of it. So this is my porcelain sweater for now, and let's talk about my future plans and my acquisition. So let's talk about yarn acquisitions first. And last week I released a roundup video talking about 14 cardigan patterns I can't get out of my head. I had so much fun putting that video together, and I couldn't control myself and bought yarn for one of the patterns. I still don't know which one I will cast on, but it will be something from that lineup. And ever since I cast on my lime green sweater, I've been dreaming about a project in a poppy blue color, and I was set on getting my hands on it's a fairly new colorway by Knitting for Olive. I don't know if it's called poppy blue or something like that, but I didn't feel as excited to cast on a cardigan in the spring with 100% merino wool plus 1 strand of mohair, so I decided to go with this one instead. This is a new to me yarn. This is Lana Grossa Ecopuno. I don't know how to pronounce this. This is colorway 98, and I think this is a poppy blue color or something like that. What I know is I really like this shade of blue, and this yarn is a blend of 72% cotton, 17% merino, and 11% baby alpaca. It has a little bit of fuzz, so I think it's going to be a really nice yarn for a cardigan pattern. Like I said, I still don't know what I will cast on from that list, but I will decide on that pretty soon. And I also have other plans, because I'm already thinking about what I will be casting on once these 2 sweater projects are done, because I will finish both sweaters this week. It doesn't matter what else is going on in my life, I will finish these 2 projects this week. So I am thinking about casting on another cardigan, because I shared this plan in my spring plans video, and I'm still really excited to cast on the Frost Lines cardigan by Andrea Maury. The yarn I plan on using for this project have two other colorways here. It is a striped pattern, and my idea is to do this combo. This is the Rome Natura Gilead in 3 different colorways. I think this is worsted weight. Is it worsted weight? Yeah, I think it is. And I have these 3 colors. So that could be an idea, but I don't know if I want to cast on a cardigan or a tee. Maybe I should cast on the tee first so that it is ready to wear once it starts getting really hot outside. In case I cast on the tee, I plan on knitting the Avenue Tee by Tori Yu using this yarn I've had in my stash for a while now. This is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway Dusty Blue Whale. So that could be an idea. It would be my first tee project of the year. And I don't know what I want to cast on first. Is it the striped cardigan, the poppy blue one, or a tee? I don't know. If you guys could give me your suggestions, I would highly appreciate it. And we'll see where I will land on next week. I was expecting to have at least a couple of swatches to show you today for these future cast-ons, but of course it didn't happen. So this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like to stick around, please consider subscribing and giving this video a like. It really supports my channel and I highly appreciate it. I will see you next week with a fresh new video, and until then, happy knitting. Bye!